Okay, boom. We are live. I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. What's happening, people? It's your boy Jerome Arab. And the reason why we're going live is because we're going to be talking about legacy today. Um, I've been really keen on this underrated to unstoppable movement that trying to create it for, I don't know, a number of years now. And the Artist Business Canvas has helped me get to this point where I'm actually engaging with more people. And we've got about 100 people in the group, 10 people that are extremely active in pushing their businesses forward. And I want to invite you guys to jump on board and just be part of this movement. So I've got a few notes here. I want to run through them so that we have a clear understanding of exactly what we're going through today. Posted this in the group. I'm going to tell the group we're live. We are live. We are live. Boom. So in the group, I actually went a little bit, I went a step further and I posted, join me, Jerome Arab, for a raw and real conversation about building a legacy. As a creative entrepreneur in this live session, I'll take you through my journey from struggling to award winning to struggling to continentally acclaimed to all sorts, back to award winning. And then I'll take you to a pivotal moment that shifted. There goes my alarm. Yeah, pivotal moment that shifted me into coaching because I think coaching is it's been not just an eye opener, but an amazing addition to my artillery. And then we're going to also talk about how creating opportunities for others has empowered me and opened doors for me, the mistakes, lessons, and breakthroughs along the way. So, again, this isn't just my life story and ideas that I'm sharing. This is actually like a roadmap to success. And I really want you people to understand that I'm here to push as hard as I can to make sure that you are successful. It is all about you guys. So let's see if I can get this link. Someone's actually already asking for the link. Bam. Let's do this. Let's do this. Bum 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 ba-dum. Bum 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 ba-dum. Bum 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 ba-dum. I've been having so much fun with this underrated to I'm actually just getting used to this to this whole setup because it just is a very different thing for me. But yeah, share. That's what it is. Bam, cool. Okay, and that's it. I think Olam should be joining us now. So as we move forward. So I would love to show you guys old images and stuff of where I started off, but guess what? I don't have a lot of that stuff to share. Purely because when I was on stage, this is going back to the 90s when I started out, my mom and them, we didn't have access to cameras and things like that. There might be a couple of images back home in Zimbabwe, but I don't have a lot to share. But I'm going to share from my heart and I'm going to share from my soul and I'm going to share some of those experiences. So if we were to kind of jog all the way back and look at my starting point in entertainment, I started off in theater. And what had happened is my father was participating in an amateur show called Motown. And I remember watching him on stage and they were performing Michael Jackson numbers and Marvin Gaye. And I was like, wow, that's something I want to do. I didn't really understand it then because it just looked cool, but I actually understand it now more than anything. And the truth is, I was encapsulated by just the energy people had and the way they gravitated towards the people on stage, the feelings, the those moments where they didn't actually have stress. And that kind of made me look at art and look at entertainment as a gateway to happiness. So leaning on that, I said to my dad I wanted to be part of the production. I was too young because I was thinking about 5. But before I even turned 6, the director who had watched me come on stage at the end of like multiple performances or go and watch rehearsals, she said I should audition. And I ended up auditioning for Alice in Wonderland. And that just opened up the doors, the floodgates of entertainment for me. The struggle didn't begin then because I was comfortable on that stage. But the struggle began when I wanted to actually take it further. Firstly, there was the knocking heads with my family, and my dad and them did not see drama or theater as a career. What they looked at it as was a hobby. So me saying that I wanted to take this step into this world and take it further, that really didn't resonate with them. So what did I decide to do? I decided, fine, I'm gonna have to find ways around it and ways to fund this thing that I actually genuinely believe in. And I'd save my pocket money and I'll pay for theater entries for me to be able to actually participate in theater. So we have competitions called Allied Arts in Zimbabwe, and I paid for entries and I participated in high school in multiple things. But there was a gap where I actually stopped doing theater. As we unpack this, the lesson I guess here is legacy begins when you stop asking how do I get seen and start asking how does my work survive without me. And I remember being, as I said, everywhere, newspapers, you name it. But it was for other people's work. Alice in Wonderland, Winnie the Pooh, singing covers of this and covers of that. And I was like, I want to write. I want people to appreciate what I bring to the table. And that's where the magic began. And this is what I call intellectual property now. But back then it was just writing a song or it was writing a script for a play. So in high school, I produced over 50 plays, or 50 short skits and plays. Like, so maybe 5 of those were full length plays and the rest were quite short snippets, but 50 productions in total, over 50 productions. That opened my mind. That's when I started to see things. And I was like, well, how how do I survive, or how does this idea of me or my contribution survive when I'm gone? Something you have to ask yourself when you're trying to build legacy is, what happens when I'm not in the room? What happens when I'm no longer alive? You have to think about what are the things you're leaving or putting in place for people to remember you for and for people to kind of grow on or build on top of. So that was one of the first things I realized, and I started to produce at a very young age. I'm talking about 11, 12. I started putting out work. Again, I didn't know what I was doing just yet, but I went over to Manchester College, studied TV and film, and instantly carried on putting out stuff, started to record my actual songs at the time. So from theater, I moved into songwriting, but I couldn't get singers on board. So start to write and put those songs down and then actually record them and put them out. That again opened a huge like space of like, wow, I have the ability to create and be remembered for it. You know, I remember sat on a tram, they call it, in Manchester, and there was a kid playing a song of mine, but they didn't know who I was. And I was like, oh, that song sounds cool, man. Do you know who that is? And it's like, yeah, man, he's a guy from Cheatham Hill. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. What's his name? It's like, oh, it's Jerome JJ. I was like, oh, that's dope. That's cool. That feeling of, even though he didn't know who I was, he was able to be impacted by the song that I was singing and listening to it as if he knew who I was. I was like, wow, there's something there. I went on and I made a lot of friends through music, opened up a lot of doors, but I still could see that there were gaps in me moving forward and what my legacy would be. So I carried on developing myself and developing my work. So when I look at this, and as I said, it the creative struggle is kind of, I think, the first segment that I'm gonna talk about. Yeah, that's all of the stuff that I'm talking about right now is about struggle. Is it's It is the creation of your stuff. It's what it stands for. It's its purpose. I think a lot of creatives focus so much on monetization that they forget that their legacy lies within what people say about what they're doing and not how much they actually make, you know. So again, take your time and understand the purpose of what you are trying to put together. It makes a huge difference to where you're going. And that would be the creative struggle for me. It has always been in understanding what your purpose is within this environment. As I said, you can post questions in the chat box. I'm going to go on and hit on part two, which is the coaching pivot. Lesson two is your legacy isn't just what you create, it's how you help others create their version. Coaching wasn't a detour for me, it was me planting seeds, and I didn't even know if they would grow or not. But I dived in head first. And coaching is about the journey. It is not actually this I tell you what to do. It's us walking together and discovering what you could potentially do. Because where I reach, you may go past. And that's what I would want as a coach. My ability should not dictate where you stop. So when I realized that back in high school, when I was putting these plays together, I had to work with actors who had no idea what acting was or had never been on stage. And we dived down this rabbit hole and discovered things together. But I realized that a lot of them had talents that I didn't have. And if I were to look at that and say, well, I'm not going to actually invest in that, I'm not going to actually help them, because they're going to surpass me, we would never have won the awards we won. So the coaching pivot where I really understood what I was doing was when I went back to Zimbabwe in 2013. Well, so it was 2012, but 2013, I went to go and visit my old high school. And my old athletics coach, who had turned sports director, said to me, "Yo, we don't have an athletics coach." But I had no qualifications in athletics. And he was like, "Well, you've got a few weeks. If you want to, you can take the job, but you got a few weeks you have to prep for our sprints challenge." I started to assemble a team because I knew I didn't have the skill set to actually coach a sprints team or a full athletics team. So I got old friends involved, sprinters, long distance runners, and throwers. Um, and we managed to do exceptionally well. The pivot where I realized exactly what I was doing was there was a young man called Frank Maponga, and he ran in that final race. And there was also another Mutema, so Tapua Mutema. So those two had a lot of passion and a lot of love for not just the track team, but for the school. And I put them on and they performed amazingly. But I was a visualization coach where everyone else said that they couldn't do it. I believed in them enough and showed them that I believed in them for them to carry themselves forward and perform. Tapua won his race, despite them telling me that he shouldn't run that event because we had stronger runners. Frank started our 4x1 and he gave us such a good start that we ended up winning that race as well. And we won that event, our sprint challenge, by 2 points. When I say the pivot came, was the feeling I had inside. When I could see others become successful and I contributed. The success was always inside them. The magic was always inside them, but I contributed to bringing it out. And it took me back to my father's little quotation about to love somebody is to see the good in them and bring it up. Like just bring it out, bring it to the surface so the rest of the world can see it. And I decided that day that that's what I was going to do. From that day, I've managed to touch base with a ton of athletes, including Ngoni Makusha, who's also been in the Olympics, and I still talk to him. There's Josh Gando, who's a engineer but also played rugby and went to university. There's a bunch of people, like even locally here in the UK, people that I I coached who are executives, but seeing other people's success made me go, I like this. I like this feeling of knowing that I contributed to their success. So again, when I talk about these things from the creative struggle, I think the coaching pivot, when you get to a place where you are comfortable seeing others win, blessings will come and you will move a lot faster than you've ever moved. But you have to get to a place where you're comfortable seeing everyone win. You cannot want to be above others and be successful. That idea of standing on top of people to get to where you want to be is gone. And if I'm honest with you, you will not reap any fruit operating that way. I'm going to move on to the next point, which is now we're going to part three, the entrepreneur shift. So the lesson here in terms of legacy building is legacy is not it's not a statue, it's not a monument, it's a machine. It's something that keeps like it's constantly working, you know. It you have to think about it. What happens when you think about people like let's look at Carnegie Hall as an example. So Andrew Carnegie, multi-billionaire, he built Carnegie Hall and it's used for art or art displays or art exhibitions or artistic events, let's just call it. But he lives on because it's active. So Carnegie Hall is actively being used. Therefore, you're able to carry on being appreciated for your contribution even after your years are gone. If you think about just a statue in a space, eventually people lose interest. Eventually, they might even just get rid of it because it means nothing. So when we talk about legacy building, you have to think about the thing you're building and how it's going to actively influence people when you're gone. It's a different, not everybody I think is built to do these type of things, but if you are trying to build something that is amazing, even if you look at it on a small scale, like our parents were like, oh, I bought a house and that's gonna keep my family going. And you will remember your grandparents or your parents because you're living in the homes that they built, with their own hands in some cases, or that they bought and they invested in. So it's a working asset. And that's what you have to look at your legacy as. Is it a working asset? Is it something that is going to constantly impact people even when you are gone? If it's not, then your legacy dies. But if it is, then it lives on. So don't think about it as a statue. Think about it as a machine. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna move on to the last point because I think legacy is such a deep, complex thing. But if we spend too much time on it, it's very easy to get lost in the intricacies of it rather than just thinking, what are we gonna do? How to start your legacy now? I've got homework for you guys, and I just wrote a note here. So homework, write down one thing you've created that could become a legacy piece if you nurtured it. Okay, that's all. Whether you drop it in the comments now, make sure you guys subscribe as well, because a lot of people actually subscribe to this channel. But yeah, drop it in the comments, or if you're in the Al Kebulan group, the WhatsApp group, drop it in there, and let's start building together. There's a couple of steps that we could take. Audit your work. What do you make that people still talk about even years later? For me, it's not the theater productions, funny enough, it's the first EP I ever produced, Learning Love. Every time I meet people, they drop certain songs. Some of my friends still sing the first song I ever recorded in Manchester. So again, I'm like, oh, music, music, music. Music keeps coming back. So I have to keep on churning and chipping away at it and finding ways to make it, stick. Spot the thread. What problem do you keep solving for others without realizing it? For me, um, that's my coaching lane. Oh, and that's your coaching lane as well. I realize that I coach a lot of people and I do it for free a lot of the time. I'm usually talking to people at random hours at night, and some is intentionally done. It's not like some, oh, maybe he's needy, and it's not even that. It's like, okay, you have a problem, and if you could, if 5 minutes or 20 minutes in conversation can change that, for me, that is powerful. And so even in my music and in my theater and TV and film stuff, my objective is to build stuff that empowers people, you know, and coaches. So, find out what yours is, spot the thread, what connects all of your talents together, and then build the system. How can the solution outlive you? As I said, simple thing, like thinking about it as an asset and a working asset, a machine changes your outlook on how you build your legacy. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, yeah, 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 nah, man, just it's easy going. Yeah, don't stress. Yeah, you just do your own thing and it'll happen." You have to be intentional. You have to think about it very intentionally. So I'll repeat that last question for you. Like, how can that solution outlive you? I hope that this video helps people start to think about legacy in a new light, but I hope it helps you build your legacy. And if you have questions, as I said, drop them in the comments and we will respond. As a team, our mission is to empower underutilized talent to realize its full potential. That includes you. Wherever you are, we want to touch base with you and we want to empower you. We want to motivate you to become the best version of yourself. Thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to the comments. I look forward to the questions and I look forward to helping you build your legacy. My name is Jerome Arab and I'll catch you guys on the flip. Peace.